Welcome everyone to the Easy Family of Brands virtual hybrid reunion. This is the new normal, as you all know. I'll be doing some small talk until we get more people in the call. So my name is Stelios, but if you don't know that, you're probably in the wrong Zoom session. We hold these reunions, these gatherings of the Easy Family of Brand members now twice a year, once in the autumn and once in the spring. The thing started before the pandemic. Obviously, during the pandemic, we had to pause for a period. Then we did a hybrid meeting where more people were actually off-site. But now we have a good 70 people who are joining us from my foundation's conference hall here in Monaco. It's a window with many people in the room called Easy Family of Brands. So we're about 70 people who are attending the meeting physically, but we wanted to maintain this new normal of the hybrid session. We have several speakers who are all zooming in, and that shows the benefit of the hybrid system. In other words, we can have speakers that could not be in Monaco participate and contribute. According to my Zoom, we have #52 participants zoom in. So I think we're good to start. What I'd like to do, with your permission, is play a video. I have Bianca from Easy Group assisting me with this. So this is a process whereby she will be controlling the presentation. So Bianca, can you put up the presentation? Share your screen. So again, for clarity, for those not familiar with our terminology, Easy Group is my own company. The Easy Family of Brands is the collective noun that describes all the businesses that use the Easy brand under license. And if you want to see the full list, you can go to easy.com, which is our portal. Next slide, please. We have lined up 6 speakers who are going to be zooming in from their own locations. So Stephen Hester from EasyJet, Tim Schlesinger from EasyStorage, Hervé Lemonnier from EasyVoyage, Josh from EasyTravelseat, Ria from EasyNetworks, and Jason from EasyMoney. But before I give them the floor, and we're hoping to keep this to under 45 minutes in total, so I'll give them about 5 minutes each. I'd like to play an Easy History video, which actually explains, if you like, my own business model and how I created this business model to optimize a stream of recurring revenues with relatively lower risk and lower reward. And the majority of the profits in Easy Group are funding, actually making a donation to my charitable foundation that does my giving back to society, the good causes. So with your permission, 7 minutes of the inevitable commercial, the video. Bianca, can we start the video?
And this is really the heart of the operation. This is the call center. More than 100 seats, 24 hours a day.
With a successful business and a personal fortune behind him. He believes he can make flying as easy as getting on and off a bus and almost as cheap. He spent £5 million setting up his own airline, starting with the Scottish routes.
We're not just cutting costs, we're doing things differently.
Now, Go isn't targeting EasyJet's routes, but that doesn't stop him from turning Go's launch into a publicity stunt.
Staff at Luton-based rivals EasyJet made a special trip to Stansted today.
To EasyJet, it's a publicity coup.
Needs to go to London to visit a doctor. So I'm giving them 5 tickets for her and the family to go and visit the doctor in London. Να είστε καλά και περαστικά.
Thank you, everyone. As you can see, the idea is to create as many easy brands as possible and to create a recurring income stream. But the reason it's also important to have presence and use in as many areas as possible is to stop other people from using the brand without permission. And that's why we have created also the book, the Easy History book, which is in print. The second edition was printed a couple of years ago. Then it went to video as the third edition, and we're now preparing the fourth edition of the Easy History. And we're going to share an early draft with the participants of the union here in Monaco, and then ask for feedback and hopefully go to print by the end of the year. So I think, Bianca, if we can put back the presentation, I'd like to hand over to our first speaker. So Stephen Hester, the Chairman of EasyJet, over to you, Stephen.
Terrific, Stelios, thank you very much. Can everyone hear me all right? Hopefully, yes.
Yeah, we can hear you, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very sorry not to be down in Monaco in person, but I know those of you who are there have heard from my colleague Rebecca earlier in the day. Hopefully I won't duplicate too badly, but I know there's sort of a mixed audience with some people who weren't there in the morning also. And Stelios, if I could congratulate you and your colleagues for organising this event so well as you always do, and I know it's a really useful gathering for all of those who can come together. Obviously, EasyJet being the largest of your family of brands and the first that you've done, we recognise that we have a particular responsibility to provide a good brand umbrella, if that's the right phrase. Most of you would have been in Monaco when I was last there with you in the spring. And so what I thought I would do briefly today is just cover, if you like, what's happened since I last presented to you in the spring. And in essence, I want to touch on three things. We had a job to do for shareholders and continue to have that job, which of course is vital, and particularly vital after a terrible 2 years for many industries, including the airline industry during COVID, when we couldn't operate significantly at all. We had a job to do for customers coming back in large numbers to flying and to be able to move around with less of a COVID threat. And then, of course, we had to look after the long term as well as paying attention to the short run. And so in terms of reporting on those three in order, and we might just flip over to the next slide, but I'm not planning to talk particularly to this slide. I would say that the shareholder side of the story is, of course, mixed in the last 6 months. The good news is in the facts. The facts are that EasyJet had a very good summer from a shareholder standpoint, with over 90% of our planes full and with profits that were very substantial in the second half. And we've done a pre-release on our year-end profit and indeed our fourth quarter profit, which for EasyJet covers the summer quarter because our year ends in the end of September. It was at or around a record ever EBITDA. And so that was the good news, and we've demonstrated that we can make good money again post-COVID, although the year as a whole to the end of September will be marginally loss-making because of the first half being very COVID blighted. So far so good. However, what's fair to say is that the share price either of EasyJet or of all airlines doesn't reflect the most recent good news. And that is, of course, because the world is very worried about the next year, not just the year that has passed us, and very worried in the context of airlines about what might happen to traffic, to customers' willingness to pay, and about the inflation that is hitting everyone, but of course, especially in some respects, the airline industry. And the next slide gives some illustration of that, and you'll see under the hedging bracket that the dollar has been very, very strong, as we know, and for an airline that flies in the UK and Europe, that obviously significantly increases costs because fuel and planes come in dollars. And of course, we know that the Ukraine war and all of the things that have come down from that have caused a big inflation in fuel costs. So even before you get to other kinds of inflation, and there's plenty of that around with airports trying to recover costs during COVID and wage rises and so on, the airline industry is facing a lot of cost inflation. You will all see the consequence of that whenever you take a plane, a flight. You will see fares significantly higher than they have been in recent years. And the good news is at the moment, we are being able to move our fares up in line with and covering the inflation that is hitting us. But of course, the share price is saying that the market is worried about our ability to keep doing that. And none of us can know for certain exactly how difficult the recession will be and how people will behave. Although, as we speak, EasyJet is in a good and robust position in terms of forward bookings and the price of them. But I was interested, Stelios, to see your film with a price of £29 for a short-haul ticket back in 1995. And I'm sorry to say that prices haven't gone up a whole lot since then, at least in certain routes and at certain times of day. So it shows you that even if prices are higher now than they have been in recent years, air travel remains massively more cheap for customers than most other forms of transport are, at least measured on a per kilometre basis. So I think on an underlying...
Stephen, if I may interject here for a second, did you notice the cost of a coffee on the first flight? It was 50 pence.
And I'm afraid coffee has gone up by much more than airfares.
Yeah.
So anyway, the bottom line is we have demonstrated that the airline can make good money again this summer, but we're certainly not out of the woods from a shareholder standpoint, and indeed neither is anyone else in the rest of the world, as we all know, facing into some challenging economic times. Our second task was around customers. We might flip the next slide. And the challenge around customers was, of course, as everyone came back to fly, the whole transport ecosystem around the world basically creaked in terms of its ability to increase volumes dramatically. By the way, this isn't just the air transport industry. Pretty much every industry around the world has creaked in supply chain terms, coming back up post-COVID. You can see that in semiconductors, you can see that in cars, you can see that in plumbers availability, and so on. So often people think, well, gosh, it was particularly airlines that found it difficult. It's not particularly airlines. But right across the air transport system, airports had difficulties, air traffic controls had difficulties, ground handling had difficulties, and airlines themselves had difficulties, not least because it was as late as April of this year that we even knew we could fly a normal summer free of COVID restrictions. And that was a bit too late for everyone to get all their hiring plans and training plans and air pass and so on. So we, along with many others, unfortunately gave customers a less than perfect experience, particularly at the start of the summer, as the system was finding difficulty coming up to speed. And we were in the media quite a lot in the UK, much less in the rest of Europe in that respect. I'm pleased to say we got over that. And indeed, flying for the last 3 months at EasyJet has been better than the similar period in 2019 in terms of cancellations and on-time performance and so on and so forth. And as a consequence of that, there was clearly some worry that the experiences customers had with airlines might have hurt our brand and therefore hurt the broader EasyJet family. And you'll see for the two slides that I'm about to show, the good news is that is not the case. And the good news is that EasyJet is completely unique in being in the top 2 airline brands in every major country in Europe. And that position, this is data up to September of 2022, has not changed from prior years. We still fly millions of customers, giving them an experience that they like, is the short answer. It doesn't mean to say we should be complacent. It doesn't mean to say that we don't want to do better, but we remain in good shape from a brand and a customer standpoint. You see this in terms of consideration, and if the next slide is flipped over, you can see it. So it was back one, maybe it was back two. There were two slides, awareness and consideration. So air travel does involve hassles. That probably isn't going to change anytime soon as airspace is crowded around Europe. There aren't going to be any new airports. There's all sorts of challenges for airports themselves to process passengers, which is where the hassle happens, not in the air. And so we will continue to have to work very, very hard, and customers will have disruptions with all sorts of air travel. But nevertheless, we will continue to work hard. We'll continue to invest a lot in the customer experience, and it is our goal to remain Europe's most loved customer brand in air travel, which you can see we continue to be. The final thing that I wanted to talk about was the longer term, where we might just go down another couple of slides. And of course, the longer term for air travel, among other things, is us doing our bit for climate change and combating climate change. And it's clear that air travel is one of the carbon emitters, albeit there are many other industries that emit more. And EasyJet has in the last year taken a particular lead, actually in the last couple of years, but a particular lead in terms of publishing our roadmap to net zero, which we did earlier this month, and being the first of the European airlines to do it to this quality and signed off and audited by SBTi standards and so on and so forth. And just one slide further down, the ingredients of the roadmap to net zero are several. They are modernizing our aircraft, which we, by the way, have to do in any event, obviously, for safety reasons. But modern aircraft are much more efficient in terms of fuel, burns less carbon, and indeed makes less noise. And that makes sense for the shareholder, because with very high fuel prices, using less of it is rather more profitable than it was at one stage. And of course, is important for our journey to net zero. There's all sorts of housekeeping that we can continue to do better in terms of consumption of fuel, how we taxi, the routes that we take between different airports. We will use more sustainable aviation fuel, which isn't a perfect answer, but what is better than the current jet fuel. Although that's something that will come in gradually as there remains a shortage of supply around the world. And in some ways, the most important long-term solution is to move aircraft from combustion engine usage of jet fuel, probably towards hydrogen. It seems most likely that electricity through batteries doesn't work well for air traffic, and hydrogen will work much better. And we've announced some important partnerships, including with Rolls-Royce and Airbus, to pioneer hydrogen engines on aircraft. Airbus is targeting the first commercial airliner using hydrogen for the mid-2030s, and that's almost certain to be the next generation of airliners and the key remaining element that allows us to aim for net zero in 2050, which of course, as you all know, is the international standard. So when I stand back from all of that, I can say to you that EasyJet is in good shape from a brand standpoint, a customer standpoint, and a shareholder standpoint, at least robustly. But we inhabit a world with plenty of challenges. You can see that in the share price. You can see that in the uncertainties facing our customers, and you can see that in the longer term path of the world around climate change. We have action steps against each one of them. We're confident that if any airline can pull off this process, we should be one of them, and we're working hard to try to make that happen. Stelios, thank you very much. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Stephen. Round of applause to thank Stephen. Bianca, can we get out of screen sharing so I can see the audience again? So I know most of you are on mute, so we won't hear the clapping, but thank you, Stephen. So how many people we have in the room? 62 zooming in and about 17 in the room itself. Very nice. So is Tim on the call?
Yes. Yes, I am. Hi, Stelios.
Yes. You are on Zoom. You are unmuted and everything else. Hi, Tim.
I'm unmuted. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful.
So are you ready to present EasyStorage?
Ready to go. Yeah.
Okay, Bianca, can you go back to screen sharing?
Firstly, I'm sorry that I can't be there today. I very much enjoyed the last reunion that we had. We've got Matt, our finance director, and Nigel, co-founder and franchise director, and James, James Thomas, who's the head of UK franchise.
I can assure you they're very visible because they're going around the meeting room in orange jackets.
Are they? I can't see them. They're hiding on the screen, but that's good. It's good. Yes, I'll be at the next one. Can I have the next slide, please? Who's doing this, Bianca? Bianca.
Can I say that we have a save the date already? Sorry, Tim. 12th, 13th of May, 2023. Save the date. 12th and 13th of May, 2023.
I'll put it in. So EasyStorage, our mission is to become the go-to storage brand by making storage an affordable lifestyle choice for our customers. So, like EasyJet, we want to be the market leader in that space, in our space of storage. And even though we're very young in our journey, I think we're making very good progress to that. One of the core pillars of getting us to this will be the rollout of our franchise network. And I'm very pleased to say that we've had a lot of recognition over the past 6 months for the franchise team and the wonderful work they do. If we can go to the next slide. First of all, we have been nominated as finalists in 2 categories for the very prestigious British Franchise Awards for this year. The first is Emerging Franchisor, which is as it says. And the second is the work we're doing with digital transformation. And that is with our platform, which we call Vault, which is an end-to-end solution that helps us manage the business and manage the franchisees, and for the franchisees to manage their businesses. And also for the amount of data points that we analyze and share amongst the various departments within the company and with the franchisees. I think we have just over 7,000 data points that we track in real time. So those are 2 things. So fingers crossed, please, for winning one, or if not both of those. It would be amazing recognition to what we're doing. And particularly
when is the event?
24th of November.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And then the next slide, in a similar vein, Elite Franchise, who are one of the leading supporters of the franchise industry. We have been in the top 50 for the last 3 years, so 2019, 2020, 2021. And again, we've just been nominated to be in the top 50 for 2022. So I think in the next sort of 5 or 6 weeks, we'll also be hearing where we are in that. So it'd be amazing if we get to there. If I have the next slide. So then we've also, on our transport category, have been nominated, we won, should I say, the Iveco Daily Missions Award for the delivery category, and then the overall winner. So there are 4 different categories, and we won one of them, and also we became the overall winner. So we're really pleased about that as well. Shows that we're getting out there, not just in front of the customers, but also within the industry. Can I have the next slide, please? The market is set to grow. This slide was made recently, but I think, as Stephen was saying, all bets are off at the moment to see what happens certainly in the next year, and whatever knock-on effect that has after that. But storage is one of the industries that has got a huge growth potential. It's been growing very robustly over the last 7 or 8 years, and the rate at which the growth is growing. So the European market is set to go from 2.7 billion to 5.5 billion in the next 5 years. That is, just to put it in sort of the unit economics that we have, which are easy pods. And an easy pod is a storage unit, is a 35 square foot storage unit. So at the moment, they're 3.5 million, and that is set to go to 7.3 million. If we can go to the next slide. As I say, we're about 4.5 years into our journey, and we have just a little under 6,000 of those pods. So there's a huge market for us to grow into. I don't know if you'll be able to see many of these numbers, but with all these graphs, it's always lovely seeing left to right, going from the bottom left to the top right. So these are actuals. This is showing the number of pods that are coming in. There is a seasonality to it. So on that top right graph, you'll see that we were net loss for the last 3 months of last year, but then had a really good growth from quarters 2 now coming in and going to 3. We've had a slight dip, which is to be expected that last month. But if we can just go to the next slide, this is the main one. In the middle there, May through to sort of end of August, September, you see an extraordinary sort of increase over what the trend is. And like with all great parties, there's a hangover to pay it afterwards. And from September or November through to May, we saw a huge number of returns. But as you can see, the trend line is showing that we are trending up. And that's what we want to see. So I hope that that will be able to continue. Last year, we grew the net number of pods 26%, but the revenue we grew by 33%. So that was through a mixture of slightly price rises in the storage price, also efficiencies with the transportation pricing, and having more add-ons like insurance and packing materials. So we want to see that trend continue, and I hope that it will. If I go to the next slide. At the moment, we have 74 storage depots throughout the UK. You can see that on the map there, I hope, with all of the orange dots. 12 of those are operated by either ourselves or our franchisees, and the rest are what we call trade storage partners. We want to go from trade storage through to ones that we operate ourselves. So we're in process of that. The total number of franchise territories we have are 31, of which 23 are already operational, and we have 8 available. There'll be some of the UK that we won't be able to franchise, some of the more rural areas. But as you can see, we cover about 85% of the main urban areas at the moment. So again, the franchise team are working hard to get on those other 8.
Tim, may I point out that we're running a bit late, so can we speed up a bit because we have other speakers as well? Yeah, thank you.
We can stop now if you like.
All right, is that your last slide?
No, got 2 more.
We know inflation is a problem, but maybe we should thank you for your contribution at this stage. A round of applause, please. And of course, we're going to take over Europe one day. Well done, Tim, thank you. I just realized it's 37 minutes past the hour, and I promised it would be a 45-minute Zoom call. So I probably wasted a lot of the time at the beginning. Anyway, is Hervé on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
From Paris, yeah. Hi, Hervé.
Can you hear me?
Yes, EasyVoyage, EasyVoyage, as you say in French, joined the Easy family of brands a couple of years ago. Great technology and media company. Over to you, Bianca. Can we have the slides?
Okay. Hello, Stelios. Thank you. First of all, congrats for your video. It's very great to see all what you accomplished in 25 years in 6 minutes video. It's a great video.
Thank
Congrats.
you.
So regarding EasyVoyage, so last time I give you hints and I give you information about our business of communication agency, and today I will give you more information about our website and what we do as a publisher. So first, if we go to the following slide, to give you some numbers, we have more or less 50 million visits every year on our website. It's in growth. This traffic comes mainly from EasyVoyage. You know, we've got other brands like Easy2Camp, Easy, L'Officiel des Vacances, and so on, but this is mainly due to EasyVoyage. It's 33 million unique visitors. We spend a little bit less than 2 million euros in marketing costs to promote our brand. We have something like 7 million revenues this year. It's less than in the past year, and I will explain why and what we will do to improve that. And in terms of number of staff, we've got more or less 60 people at EasyVoyage, but you know, we're including in a group. The group is Webedia, and we've got more or less 20 people dedicated to the travel in Webedia. So in the end, it's almost 80 people working in the travel for Webedia. So in fact, to get back to our model, if we go to the next slide, our promise at EasyVoyage, since we started the company in 2000, in fact, was to give to the traveler information to prepare their trips. So we did that for years, and we will continue to do that. And we had two things. We had some editorial content on one end, and on the other end, we have some meta search. So actually, the editorial content was travel guides. It was very institutional, and then on the other side, this meta search. This model today is old, and we have to not to change completely the model, but to do it differently, because first of all, now in terms of editorial content, what the traveler are looking for is some content which is more based on the experience of people who write the content, more based on the new formats like video and so on. And in terms of trips, you know, we worked a lot on flight meta search, but now this business has been completely preempted by well, I would say GAFA, but even if they are not all GAFAs, but like Google, Kayak, and Skyscanner, and it's very difficult to find a space on this business. So we are actually revamping EasyVoyage and changing a little bit the model. And what we're going to do is to create new editorial content and new content in general, because we've as well photos, videos, and so on, which are more based on the experience of the people. And rather than comparing the prices and so on, we will insert links with products, travel products selected by our team to give them the direct access to the product. So it means that, for instance, if we present, I don't know, a city like Paris, I'm in Paris today, we say, okay, you can go to Paris, we can give you a selection of hotels, we can give you access to book your ticket to the museums, to go to the theater, and so on and so on. So this is what we're going to do in the future. Then we will write this content on our website. We will insert these links to products where we will monetize our traffic, and then we will amplify those content on our social media pages. And we'll probably talk about that in the future, but we have a huge strategy on that. We are very powerful on the social media, and we have a strategy, a new strategy, but I won't talk about that today, on TikTok to try to have an offer dedicated to the young travelers. And we will maintain only local meta search where the competition is local, like in campings and holidays and so on. So this is the new strategy. If we can move to the next slide.
Hervé, if we can actually speed up a little bit because we have 3 more speakers.
Yeah. So let's forget this slide. Let's go to the following one. Okay, so in terms of content, and I will only talk about that, we'll have different type of content. We've got a travel guide, but more based on the experience, travel reports, tops, it's a selection of the 3, for instance, here, the 3 best hotels in Dubai, itineraries, when you say, okay, I will stay 10 days in Jordania, so what is the itineraries you can make in 10 days, and then a selection of the best products. So we plan to be live at the end of January. So next time when I come to visit you in Monaco, Stelios, I hope I can make a demo of the new EasyVoyage website.
That would be great. 12th of May. All right. Is there another slide?
No, that's fine.
All right. Round of applause for Hervé. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we exit the screen? The screen sharing, Bianca. Josh, are you online?
I'm here. You should be able to see me now.
Yeah, you're in the car. Hi, Josh.
I am. Hi.
Josh is very close to my heart, I have to say, because we met first when he won the Disabled Entrepreneur of the Year award we ran with my foundation in the UK. And then we got to know that each other through that charitable cause. There was no business. He won a prize. Then I looked at what he did and I said, maybe we should work together and you should join the Easy family of brands. And the EasyTravelseat is the result of that process. So Josh, we'd like to present your business. Can we try and do it in 3-4 minutes,
of
please?
Course.
We have 2 more speakers,
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. So we provide lifting equipment for wheelchair users to use when they travel by air. And given the impact of COVID, it meant that we took the downtime to innovate. And we last year launched 3 new products to our range of equipment.
Yeah, do you want to turn the pages?
Yeah. So if we go to the next slide, please. So since bringing these new products to market, which was a waterproof wheelchair towel, some leg straps, and a harness that complement and support wider travel for wheelchair users, we've actually seen an increase in revenue, in turnover this year from around about 25,000 last year to 65,000, which are expected to hit by the end of this year. So I think we've done a remarkable job. We've cut our expenditure on marketing, but what we've seen is a significant increase in our social media presence, and we've seen a higher return on our sales. So it shows that the effort that we have put in over the last couple of years have really worked. But what we've noticed is the impact of Ukraine and the cost of living is really hitting disabled people. And so towards the end of this year, I am seeing and will expect sales to decline leading through the winter months. So
shall we have a look at the video of the product?
Yeah, please.
I think it's a very powerful image, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And there's another video, I think, yeah. So this is an example of how the product can be used away from travel, away from at home, basically, isn't it? Or on holiday.
On holiday, right? Yeah. So this would be used for getting on and off aircraft, to being lifted down to a pool, which is being demonstrated here. It can be used for hospital appointments. It can be used for pretty much anywhere. We have people using it at Disneyland, getting into boats in the sea. It can be used anywhere where a wheelchair user needs that wouldn't be able to get anywhere other than being lifted with this device. So it really is transforming people's lives.
Great, well done, Josh. Round of applause for Josh. Thank you. Sorry, Josh, you're saying something?
No, that's good enough for me. I'll let you have some time back. Thank you so much.
Well done. Thank you. Ria, are you on the line from EasyNetworks?
I'm here.
Yes.
Hello.
Very colorful background, virtual
Thank
background.
You. Good afternoon.
Mine is real. Yours is virtual, isn't it?
I'll try and keep it short. I'm aware of time constraints, and I'm so sorry we can't be there in person, especially as I've been swatting and I really fancied my chance in the quiz this time. Compliments to all the presenters who came before me. Well done for that. Thank you. So I'm Ria. I am the CEO of EasyNetworks. As you can see, Bianca, could you flip the slide for me? See from our strapline, we do IT and telecoms for business. So if you're one of our customers, we make your phones and your computers work. As you can see, we've been around since 1995, so we're the same age as EasyJet, but not quite as big. I was going to go through a few more notable events, but I'm going to slim it down for time. Biggest project, 2012, which was for BlackBerry, for those of a certain age who remember them. If only Apple had come calling at the same time, maybe we would be as big as EasyJet. Another notable event, 2018, as part of our business risk assessment against Brexit, we brought an IT company that had a footholding in health. And then came the pandemic. So I think that was actually probably one of our better moves. Again, I was going to talk about that more, but I'm going to skip through it for today. But one thing I would like to say is all through the pandemic, our engineers, and I know everyone had a very tough time, our engineers were going into hospitals, into COVID hot wards to carry on supporting and working for the NHS. And that's something I'm immensely proud of. Okay, quickly jump to 2019, which is much more cheerful, and you can see our timeline turns from pink to orange, as this is when Stelios welcomed us into the Easy family of brands. Looking back, this is always a match made in heaven for us. Our company values absolutely align, of offering great value, keeping things simple, and relentless innovation. IT and telecoms is a very murky industry, and it's rife with shady practices and ridiculously long contracts. And we are completely different. We're very open and honest. We actually publish all our pricing, and we avoid long contracts wherever possible and keep our customers because we do a good job. And I'm really hoping Stelios and Tracy are nodding and smiling about now because they're one of them.
Good.
Good. Thank you, Stelios.
Is that the last slide?
Nearly, but don't worry, stay where you are. The biggest jewel in our crown, apart from the branding, is our team. We've got a fantastic group of people, and of course we have fun. We have fun with the branding. We use it and celebrate it wherever we can. And
you're demonstrating your environmental credentials by showing us your Teslas, isn't it?
We are. Yes, it's but
so these are company cars, aren't they?
They are company cars, and it's one, obviously we're an IT and tech company. We are innovative, which is why I think we're such a great fit, and it just felt right when we were going to upgrade our fleet to go for something environmentally friendly and something that's very innovative.
Great. Well, round of applause for Ria. Thank you.
Just one more thing. So yeah. Richard William, many of you know, Richard stepped away from the helm early this year, and I'm now at the helm. So it's my job I've got all the right stuff, the right team, the right branding, the right products and services. So it's now my job to grow the business. So it's going to be easy.
Wonderful. Okay. And perhaps I should explain that Richard, who's the founder and is still on the call, is now focusing on building a mobile business, isn't it? So that could be the next chapter.
Could be.
So Easy Mobile by Richard William. Wonderful, thank you, Ria. So Jason is our last speaker, and he's the brave one who didn't produce any slides. So Jason is very good at talking. Jason, are you there?
I am, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so, I will keep it very, very short as we're actually over time now. So obviously, I'm one of the directors at EasyMoney. We raise money on an online platform and lend it to property professionals. For those of you who don't know, I'm standing in for Andrew DeCandole today, who's just getting over COVID and wasn't able to join. So, although I believe he's here on Zoom. So if we go to the first slide, if that's okay, and I'll be really, really quick.
You do have slides? Ah, sorry, I missed the fact that you sent the slides.
Yeah, so yeah, it was done very last minute, I'm afraid. But what this just demonstrates is that we are growing 100% year on year since we launched in February 2018. This year to date, we've had 44 million in just in retail investment. So that's not including high net worth, family office, pensions, etc. And we've paid out over 15 million in interest to our investors. So they're the people on the platform. So if we go to the next slide, in the interest
I have to say, I'm a happy investor on the platform.
Yes.
Aside from the other relationships I have with the company, I'm actually an investor in the platform itself. So lending money is secured against property, yeah.
Yeah, so this slide basically shows that listening to our investors and with the cost of living and everything, just 2 weeks ago, we withdrew our very lowest tier investment, which was a target rate of 3%, allowing people with £100 or more to enjoy the 4%. And again, that's something we're keeping our eye on. You know, the market is moving, rates are going up. God knows where they'll end. I don't think anybody knows much at the moment with the political unrest. So if we go to the next slide, this just shows that basically on our secondary market, when people want to withdraw funds, we're actually got an average. The actual average is to get them out is 2 hours to get the funds out, but taking weekends and holidays into account, most people are getting their funds back in 24 hours if they want to withdraw, which has actually been a real problem with some of our competitors that are averaging months, you know, to get your money out of a loan. So we're really, really proud of that. So if we go to the next slide. So this is just some updates really. So it's shown that this year alone, we've increased our loan book from 79 million to 132, I believe, today. And that's only because we had 13 million pounds repay with some loans in the last 2 weeks. So again, it's when you're in the lending business, it seems like it's, you know, 4 steps forward and then 1 or 2 back, because loans repay, which is wonderful, and that's what we're there for. And as you can see, going down the list, we've got no losses to date, no defaults. Current loan book, as I said, 132 million today, which I'm hoping to go up a little bit before 5 o'clock. We've continued the growth, and we're still on a compound annual growth of 100% per annum since the launch, which is all good news. So if we go to the next slide. This slide just really shows that what we've done is we've spent a long time, about 10 months actually, getting a wholesale funding line, which has been a very big task for us. And we've now got a 100 million facility through Insight, a huge American company, ready to draw. We haven't drawn it yet because we're still enjoying a lot of retail money coming in. But as consumer confidence wanes a little bit in our sector, and we start to see, you know, the cost of living kicking in a bit more over Christmas, we probably will end up drawing that, I believe, in January, and starting to use that as well as the funds that come in on the platform. And if we move on to the very last one, it shows that, you know, we're still making money. We're on target to make 800k net, adjusted down a little bit. And that's because we have spent a lot of money on other projects, you know, other things of our sister companies that we're hoping to grow. As you can see here, one of them is an expansion into Europe via Estonia. We're carrying on with our mobile app, which has been great. It's getting better and better every month. And we're also hoping to introduce and do more with the card. So our wallet, which is going to be a very flexible wallet, and we're moving that forward, and you'll probably all find out about that, I'm hoping, next spring.
And you're also advertising in football, isn't it?
We are, yeah. So
tell us about it.
The wonderful thing about this brand is, apart from consumer confidence,
can you get out of screen sharing, Bianca? Thank you.
Yeah, the wonderful thing about the brand, apart from consumer confidence, is the ability to open doors like no other brand. So with that in mind, we've had many people knock on our door offering us wonderful opportunities for advertising. Of course, we're in a certain market, and not everybody, it doesn't work for us, just advertising everywhere. So yes, we've been given the opportunity to advertise at football matches. We've seen a couple of investors come in from it. Currently, it's totally free, I'm pleased to say. And yeah, there's a couple more opportunities.
So which stadium is it?
It's Watford. Yeah, so we're now within.
So it's right in your target market, basically. So, you know, it's where your investors would be and where your property borrowers would be, the people who borrow money.
Yeah, I think it's probably better for the borrowers than it is the investors, to be honest. And that's where we're at. So it's been a really good year for us, you know, even though we've had some ups and downs. And
all right, round of applause for Jason. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. I know we are 13 minutes over time, so I won't keep you for much longer. Thank you very much for your time, your patience. I'm sorry to say for those zooming in that you can't join us for a drink at the local pub here at 6:30 tonight, but perhaps you can join us for the next reunion, which is penciled down for 12th, 13th of May, 2022. Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.